Okay. Yay. Sorry for that, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the first ever, and hopefully not the last ever, CPP News Source Roundtable, a call to unity. Unity is the theme today that which we are talking. And let me introduce myself real quickly. My name's Julia Heath. I'm a former physician assistant. I worked with in ER, urgent care, and pain management. I've been advocating for the chronic pain patient community for a little under 3 years. And my specialty is basically the medical side of the opioids crisis. That's what I tend to focus on. And then we have Tamara Stewart, who's up. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Tamara.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tamara. Like she said, I'm Tamara Stewart. I've been not only a chronic pain patient, I've been working in advocacy and other groups trying to essentially do the same thing everybody else is, survive this crazy stuff happening and find a way to make a difference. So we are so glad y'all are here tonight. I hope we can have a really great evening. Thank you all.
Yes, hope we can enlighten you on some good answers. Y'all have asked some wonderful questions, some nice, tough, hard questions to answer. Thank you so much for that. No, just kidding. No, we can do it. We'll answer your questions. We're ready. We have missing tonight is Jeff Edney. He's the co-founder, along with myself, for CPP News Source. He has been sick. Thank the Lord. It was not COVID. We are grateful for that. But he has been not only sick, but in the midst of doing other big life changes like moving and things like that. And so his time has been very precious. And he is with us, hopefully, I think on the live, just watching the live stream with us. But he won't be answering questions just on this one. We're hoping that this won't be our only one, so that he will have an opportunity to come on, and he has a lot of wisdom, and we want to hear what he has to say too. All right, shall we jump into the questions?
Absolutely.
I think we should. All right, we're just going to take the questions that we got previously. You are welcome, for those of you who are watching right now. Who did not submit questions, you are welcome to submit questions as the roundtable continues to go on. If a question pops in your head from what we're discussing, just keep in mind that we may or may not get around to those questions at the end, but we will try to answer them in the form of a post at another time. All right, the first question we're going to tackle, which has been asked or mentioned by dozens or maybe hundreds of people almost every day. So this is an important one. Why can't we unite all CPP groups so we present a united front? We have all been told that it's egos holding us back, but what can be done about that, and what are the main issues that keep dividing us? This is a very big question. I think just to answer the first part of it, one thing that we can do to present a united front is all agree on the big picture. I think it is different things that we get passionate about that kind of pull us away from the big picture. But as long as we can all agree on the big picture, that's really all we need in order to present a united front. And the big picture, just as we've discussed it, we really feel is regaining the sanctity of the physician-patient relationship. That is a sacred relationship. It has been a sacred relationship for eons. And for some reason, we have some interference in it from our government and from other places. And if we can find a way to let the sanctity of the physician-patient relationship be our North Star, that is how we can present a united front. Now, there's a lot of different ways that we can do that. And the thing I want to equivocate this to is like the human body. The human body is one body but has many parts. If y'all are people who read the Bible, that's actually a verse in the Bible. And what we have to know is that each part is important. And so it's okay for this person in this group to be passionate about this one thing, and it's okay for a different group to be passionate about something different, because we need all of the parts in order for this to work. We need for this to be tackled on all fronts. And what we need to do is find ways to support each other, each of us who have different initiatives that we are trying to do. Not all fronts initiatives are going to mesh. For example, the elbow doesn't communicate with the back very often, and so there are going to be some that aren't going to follow the same path, but that needs to be okay too. That's the main thing, is keeping the main thing, which is sanctity of the physician-patient relationship, and then encouraging the others who are not doing exactly what you're doing to keep doing what they're doing. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. That shouldn't be what divides us. That should just make us stronger. But unfortunately, some people tend to dig their heels in a little bit. There are offenses that come. Those are the things that tend to cause us some trouble. Also, another thing that we need to be careful of is fighting in the public media. That can't be undone. Once it's done, it can't be undone. And we have got to learn to be forgiving, to be yielding, God forbid, and to think of others before ourselves. And if we do those things, I think that we will have more success. You don't have to be their buddy. You don't even have to like them. But you do need to support their dreams and their goals, because it's going to ultimately get us where we're going. And what do you think about that, Tamara?
I think you touched on every bit of it. As long as we do, all present a united front, it doesn't matter if we all like or love each other. As long as what somebody sees is we're all working towards getting to a point where our doctors with us can make decisions about our medicines without government, insurance, anybody. Then all the rest of it, that's all inside the groups. That's all just part of the process and the learning process, how to get from where we are now to where we want to be. So, thank you.
Very good. Yes. Okay. Let me see. Question number 2, asked by 2 members, and is also restates kind of our mission. What are the goals and objectives of this initiative that we're doing right now? And what are the plans to accomplish those goals? Well, this initiative is just to see if we can't all get on the same page. Again, try to remember this mantra. Let's make the main thing the main thing. And if we can agree on the main thing, everything else will tend to fall into place. That is what we're trying to do here. We're trying to caution people about how they present themselves in the public. There is a Bible verse that says, don't answer a fool according to his folly, or you will be like them. So when someone says something foolish, just let it go. Let the fool be a fool, and you go on your way. And if we can start doing things like this, and also just giving people leeway, because all of us have bad days. All of us are pain patients. Every single one of us, with the exception of just a few advocates, have pain. And we just need to give each other some leeway, but mostly some support. What else can you think of, Tamara?
Again, you pretty well grabbed most of that. I think there's got to be some more communication. I know that we're each members of all these different groups, and we're not communicating at this point. I think maybe this would be a great way. I'd love to see with this roundtable, the next time, let's say there's an attorney on, the time after that, maybe there's a group leader from another group. And again, all our members, their members, everybody gets to ask questions. I think that'd be a really great way, so that all the leaders are speaking, all the members are telling the leaders what we need. And to be honest, that's where the leaders can kind of meet the community where they're at instead of expecting the community to follow them. And I think that's the only way we're going to put together a united front, is find that middle ground somewhere.
Agreed. Wow, that was an echo. Why am I echoing now? I'm good. Okay. All right. You got the next one, Tamara.
All right. This one's been asked by at least 9 members just for this roundtable, and we see it in the community all the time. What is it that why is it that the chronic pain community at large will not get themselves involved in their own advocacy? In other words, why are we not more active, both for ourselves and our doctors, and in the advocacy work that's going to be required to move forward with this? And I think there's a whole lot of answers to that. I think even the best advocate for someone else is more than likely not very good at advocating for themselves. I know me personally, if somebody's messing with one of my children or someone I'm advocating for, I do not back down. But then when it's me, I very likely will just sit there and agree. And I think we all need to learn that, how to quit agreeing without asking the questions and asking the doctors why. What is the reason that you feel this needs to happen? And not just agreeing and without asking certain questions. I don't mean go get belligerent. That's far from it. The other part is, why aren't we getting more active in the advocacy? The biggest thing is, I think everybody's scared, doesn't know what to do or say or where to go or what to do next. And I think so many groups have different ideas about what's right and what's next, that I really do think once we have a more united front and the leaders are talking, I do think there'll be a whole lot more clarity as far as what needs to happen next. What do you think, Julia?
Yes, I would agree with that. One part that's been asked is, how can we nudge people to get more involved without making someone feel bad or being judgmental and knowing that we're all in pain? Well, you really can't nudge people, because all of us are in different places. Some people, like Tamara was saying, are fearful of going out and doing advocacy work because they're afraid they're putting themselves out, and maybe the DEA is watching, or something is going to happen. And I understand the fear. I don't know that it's a necessary fear, because we've just got to do it. And the more we do it, the less we'll be afraid. But as far as nudging people, honestly, all we can do is encourage each other. Another thing we can do as groups and as group leaders is find avenues for people to get involved. And we will discuss some of the things that have been done in the past that haven't worked and why they haven't worked, but so that we can start thinking more creatively about other avenues. Okay, Tamara, you got the next one.
All right. This is one that gets asked all the time, and I think everybody, when they first come in to our community, asks it. And out of all the comments and everything that we built these questions from, it was in there 18 different times. So this is a pretty big question. Why are our numbers so small if there really are anywhere from 100 to 125 million pain patients in America? Everybody's heard a different number: 50 million, 20 million, 125 million. Each of those refer to something completely different. That really big number, 125 million, that is the number of people a year who have pain. But obviously, we would never ask for all 125 million to be given opioids the very second they say they are injured because they stubbed their toe. And I think it's important not to continue using that number when we're directly speaking about restoring opioids, because it makes it sound like we are wanting the government to go back to free-willing, allowing 50 to 100 million people getting prescribed opioids a year again. It was a little over 100 million a year at a certain point. Right now it's at about 60 million. So how many patients are taking chronic opioids every day? I think the best we've been able to come up with using the Office of the the Office of the Inspector General, Medicare, Medicaid numbers, and just best guesses, to be honest, is between 14 and 18 million are taking chronic, long-term, daily opioid therapy. Then out of that, maybe 3 to 5 million are on a dose of over 90 MME. So there really are not near as many of us as a lot of us think, which also goes back down to the next part of that question. Why don't we each give $1 so we would have millions and millions of dollars for an attorney or lobbyist? There are so few of us on here, out of the few that are in the position we are in, that need the long-term opioids. There are not very many of us on social media. First, we need to build our base, in my own opinion, get it where more of us are here, but we've been trying that for a couple of years. The next step is it would have to be in one group that everybody agrees to. And right now, that's not in our cards at the moment, but I feel like that's something we can keep looking for down the road. Got anything,
Okay.
Julia?
Yeah, I was just going to expand a little bit on what you said right then, is that right now there's not a attitude of trust amongst, the chronic pain patient community, amongst leaders in the community. So I don't know, I mean, who would get the money? Who would be the one to be responsible for the money? Who would decide where the money goes? These are issues that have to be worked out way in advance, and before, and many other legalities before we could start getting donations of even $1 a person in order to lobby or in order to hire attorneys. We'll get to this in a next question, I think, but there are some who have already tried to hire attorneys and things, and I think that's a couple of questions down, Tamara, that you're going to answer. So why don't you take the next question as well, Tamara?
All right. Well, first off, the next question we had planned is something that, I don't know, 25 people just in the comments and the questions for this specific event have mentioned. And I think, again, we all ask this question at some point. Which of our constitutional rights are being violated right now? Is it the 1st or the 4th or the 9th, the 8th? What is it? And the pursuit of, where does the fight for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness come in? Okay, I guess the first thing to say here, very clearly, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, which is our amendments, only protects us from the government. So if a Facebook group such as CPPNewsSource doesn't allow you to share your political views, that is not violating your First Amendment. A private entity or a company, a corporation, everybody in the world can limit your freedom of speech when you are on their territory, except the government, whether it's federal or state or local. They cannot impinge on your rights. So when your doctor asks you for a UA, he is not the government. Therefore, he is not violating your Fourth Amendment right to be safe from
Self-examination.
seizure. Yep. So that's where you have to really stop and think. It is not, the Constitution will not protect us from our doctors. It only would protect us, let's say one of the government, whether it was state or federal, created a law that required every doctor to have a UA before they prescribed. That might be able to be challenged in court under the Fourth Amendment, for illegal search and seizure, but why it's not illegal or improper if it's something that all of the medical community agrees to. It's something that would definitely be able to be, fought out in court. But currently, none of the laws say that. So right now, when we say it's against our constitutional, rights to take a UA, well, it's not, because it's your doctor requiring it. As for the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that's in the Declaration of Independence. And again, nowhere does it guarantee us that we're going to be given that. Julia, you want to add something to that?
No, I think you pretty much took care of that. Like she was saying, we have to know where our rights are coming from and who our rights protect us from. And we tend to throw out these constitutional rights and these amendments and the Bill of Rights, but not really understanding who they're aimed at. And they are aimed at, like Tamara said, they're aimed at government interference. The government impinging on our rights to these things, not a news source, not your doctor. Your doctor, they just, from a medical perspective, your doctor, I don't like UAs. I find them kind of insulting, personally, embarrassing. I don't think anybody likes them. But you have to think to yourself, how else are they going to know how you're metabolizing your medicine? I mean, they're not just always looking to see if you're taking something else or doing something else. They're also seeing what's going on with the medicine that you are taking. Are you metabolizing it properly? Are you metabolizing it too quickly? Does one show up and the other not, but you're still taking them at the same time, and why? So there's a lot more to a UA. None of us like them. I don't like them. Sometimes I feel like, proven guilty before proven innocent, or saying I'm guilty before I'm proven innocent. But you know what? That's just one aspect of the UA. I know the UA has just kind of been a big issue, and that's why we're kind of pointing that one out. But you got to think about all the reasons why a doctor is asking for the UA, all the reasons why they are doing a paying contract.
Absolutely.
And so if you can kind of think in more broad terms instead of just how you feel about it, because none of us like it, then we come to a more logical conclusion. Okay, that's all I have on that. I think you got the next one too, Tamara.
Yep, and then we're going to bounce it back to you.
Okay.
Okay, and this is something we just kind of touched on, and we're kind of, we mentioned earlier that we were wanting to have a lawyer come on with us next time. What about a class action lawsuit or legal attack against the government, CDC, somebody, anybody, based on constitutional rights being violated? So, once again, we touched on the constitutional rights. We can't sue our doctors for violating our constitutional rights. So we need to find a way to move past and learn. And that's what this is all about, learning where we are today and where we can move forward. There is not a specific class action lawsuit ready to go. There are possibly small little class actions, but there will not be one that encompasses all of us. A class would mean we all had the same disease or encountered the exact same problem, but we haven't. Even if we've all lost our meds or had our meds cut, it's been the doctor, the pharmacy, the insurance. So we would have to break it down into multiple small ones. And that's where people are right now. I don't know how many know this. We have about 30 attorneys that are sitting in different Facebook groups that are fighting. Some are fighting every hour of every day for us. Kate Nicholson, there's a few others. There's others that fight when they can, when they feel good, because they're also pain patients. So far, in the 3 or 4 years they've been going at this, they have yet to find a very specific legal action that can be taken. We can't just go to before a judge, walk in and say, we're mad because we're hurting, and them do something about it, and they can't change the law. It's going to take having a good legal theory before we get there that will get us in the door. That way we have the opportunity to argue it in front of court. And the first person to get there that does file this suit is very likely going to set a precedent for everybody else. What you got, Julia?
Yes, well, are we talking about precedents at one point?
Yeah, I
And
just
how it's
mentioned
important?
it would.
I know, but are you going to expand on it a little bit, or do you think that's all we should say about it for right now?
Maybe the
It's
lawyer next week would love to.
Yeah, there we go. Next time, yes.
Yes,
I agree. Okay, yes, we'll wait until our real attorney expert person can help
I
us.
am not a lawyer, nope, that's not me. I've just spoken to a whole lot of them.
Yes, and we're all very grateful. Okay. Asked by staff and members alike in droves. Lots have asked. Why can't we do a united call to action, such as everyone sending tweets, emails, calling POTUS, President of the United States, his wife, the DOJ, whoever, all at once for a straight week or so? Basically, we're talking about calls to action. And I have a couple of things to say about calls to action, and they are not bad. There is a place for calls to action, for sure. So I'm not, poo-pooing the idea of calls to action. Sorry, I have a kid. Anyways, but this is what's happened. Some of these things we have done so much, like emails and letters, that our lawmakers are starting to, they're starting to become impersonal to them. In other words, they see it, yes, but they don't see it as a person. They just see it as a piece of paper. And same with tweets and things like that. Whenever there's a computer screen or a piece of paper or an email that is between you and the person you're communicating with, that is a barrier. And they can choose to look through that barrier and see what you're saying, or they can choose not to. And I think we got that initial push where we wrote and we emailed and we got the message through, but now it's probably just getting annoying to them. And that's not really the way to get our message across and to get things done. We don't want to annoy our lawmakers. We want to work with them. We want to come to the same side of the table. Maybe some of y'all want to annoy them. I don't know. I don't really want to. Anyway, so I think that's what's happened with all of the letter writing and things like that. It's just happened so much that it's become an impersonal thing to them. They're not seeing past the paper and seeing us. And so really the only way that I can see where we can have effective, not even calls to action, but just effective communication with those who are our lawmakers, people in Congress, our Senate, senators, is to meet with them. And I hope everybody understands that you have senators and Congress people on the state level, and you have them on the national level. So you need to make sure that you kind of have your, government 101 figured out there. On the national level, they can make laws. Then those laws kind of set the bar, but I believe the states can go more stringent than what the federal law is.
Yes, they can.
So really, we need to attack it on both sides. We need to attack it on the federal side and on the state side. And if you can, I know that not everyone is comfortable doing this, but I've got to tell you, it is 1,000 times more effective, 1,000,000 times more effective for people to be coming in and seeing their lawmakers, speaking to them respectfully, not only telling them the problem, but maybe offering some solutions so it doesn't just sound like we're griping, and just giving them some respect. You don't have to like them. You don't have to like them, but they're our authority. And they are the ones that hold the power. And, we can take them out of office. We can put them in office. But ultimately, whoever's in office right now was in office, and that's the ones you have to work with. You don't have to vote for them. You don't even have to agree with their principles. But, you know, if you can just show them some respect and meet with them face to face, they know you're nervous. They know it might be something new. Make yourself a list. Stick with your list. Don't overwhelm them, which is a lot that we did at first. We just threw all this information at them, and they were like, whoa, you know, you have 3 2-inch binders that you're leaving with me, okay? But, you know, be succinct, tell your story, give some data to back you up, and offer some solutions, and then see what they have to say. That is what I would suggest more than call to actions at this time. I think call to actions may be wearing out their welcome as far as that goes. And what do you think, Tamara?
I think you touched on all of it. You'll hit a little bit more in the next one.
Okay, here we are. Let's see. Asked by 4 today, and all pain patients at some point, what is our community's overall objective in order to move forward or present a united front? We kind of touched on this a couple of times. But united front, again, we've got to agree on what the main goal is, on what the big picture is. And again, if we can have reestablished the sanctity of the physician-patient relationship with no interference other than the oversight that's always been there, that's built in, because, you know, checks and balances is very important. But if we can have our physicians free to prescribe or prescribe medication or do therapies, try therapies without worrying about the government slapping them on the hand or taking their DEA license away, then, man, that would just free them up to help us in every way. I mean, the only reason why physicians are pulling back doses of opioid medications from those who have been on steady doses for a long time and have done well on them is because they are getting pressure from the outside. It has nothing at all to do with us. It has everything to do with the outside pressure. Now, if you're taking a whole lot, it's not doing you much good. That's different. That's a case-by-case, you know, situation there. But overall, the reason why all of this is happening is because there were some government agencies that have kind of overstepped their that have overstepped their boundaries and are making up the rules as they go. But Congress is the one who lets them do that. Congress is the one who gives them a budget to do that. That is why we need to speak with our lawmakers, one-on-one. Make an appointment. It's not hard. You can make an appointment by email, or you can call their office. And you might not get to talk to them. You might end up talking to, you know, one of their what's the word I'm looking for? One of their peoples to help out.
Staffer.
The word is not coming to me. Anyways, staff. Yes, one of their staffers, like their health staff or something like that, which actually is great. But if we can do that, we would really get far. But this first agreeing on the big picture is the main thing we need to do to move forward. Okay, you've got the next one, Tamara.
I do. And actually, this is the last one. Then we're going to scroll back and try to take some questions from you all that you all have been asking while we were talking away ourselves. So the last one, and it's been asked by a few directly for this, and obviously I think it's on the minds of everybody. The 2016 guidelines came out 4 years ago. In that time, it doesn't seem like we've gotten very far. What do you think the major roadblocks are to getting the CDC guidelines changed or the laws changed? And when will we see positive changes to medication laws and CDC guidelines? Okay. It has been almost 4 years. Let's see. It's been 4 years in April, I believe. So we're at 4 years, 1 month. It took them 3 years to acknowledge that they never should have done that. So it really took the first 2 to almost 3 years for every patient that was writing and going to the media and calling and rallying. That is what it took that first 2.5, 3 years to make it where we can start seeing some changes. Here in Oklahoma, we were able to get the laws changed in 2019. And we did that by, like Julia was saying, going up there, being in their offices 2 and 3 days a week. So that was absolutely necessary. Hopefully, now that one state has completely changed, enacted, and finished their laws, or a set of laws, we can keep going further, and other states will. There were 8 or 10 states that were very lined up to have laws changed this year. We actually were prepared to have bills in almost 30. But as everybody knows, COVID changes things. And even the 8 that looked really good and really like they were really going to have great changes this year probably aren't going to happen. Most, including Oklahoma and the rest of them that I know of the sessions are already out. So we're just going to keep working this year. We'll do the best we can. But there have been changes. There are, what was it? I think 2 or 3 million people more this year receiving, or 2019, 2 or 3 million people more received daily pain medication than they did the year before. Yes, overall prescribing went down, but you're talking about acute and chronic. So it's starting to kind of start balancing out. Not for everybody. We are finding more members are able to go find another doctor and get their medicines back. I would say the first 2 years, it was all day, every day, somebody saying, I lost my medicine. Now it's about 50-50. People come in, hey, guess what? I got my medicine back. I'm doing good. So we are making progress. And nowhere in the news was there anything to do with pain patients. Absolutely at all. Now, all of a sudden, we are in the news. We are part of the conversation a lot of times when they bring up addiction and different stories. And every once in a while, they even don't use the bottles of pills when they're that illicit. That is a win. We are making progress. We have pain patient friendly laws in at least one state. Washington State's pretty good. There's going to be more within the next 12 months. I feel like there's going to be another 8 to 10 that for sure will move towards that. The CDC guidelines are going to be rewritten. They claim it's going to be rewritten only because they realize the harm. We just got to keep on them. There's that CDC call to action right now, and I know we all hate these, the docket. Everybody needs to do it with every email they've got and every family member they've got. No questions asked. This is huge. So, and yes. I think, unless you've got something else to say, Julia, I'm ready to start taking other questions. What about you?
No, I think we're good. I wanted to also mention, just as an example of just going out, putting yourself out there. There was another chronic pain patient and I who went before our Texas State Senate. They were considering language in a bill that would have been harmful to chronic pain patients. And all we did was go and take our 3 minutes each, which is all you're given, just a warning when you speak to the Senate or anywhere else. You get 3 minutes, so make it work, make it count. All we did was talk to them about it, tell them why it was not a good idea, be real logical about it, no emotional outbursts. That's just try to keep that at a minimum. And you know what? The language was changed just from 2 of us going up there and saying this is why it needs to change, and them going, oh, that makes sense. And you know what? It happened. So sometimes it's not quite as huge of a barrier as you might think.
Right. That's how it was here. There were 3
yes,
of us.
That's right. That's right. We're here to help you.
Absolutely.
And to encourage you and give you some direction, because we've done it. We've been there and we've done that. All right. So what do we got?
We're ready for Alexandra. Alexandra, are you with us?
Oh.
Yes, I am.
All
You gonna?
right.
All right. What's the first
Oh,
question you got for us, my dear?
okay. The first question that came in that I was able to capture was, what about when people say things that burn bridges with anyone who is not us and they don't care to change?
Burn bridges. Are you
I was
talking
kind of,
about pain,
you know,
patients that burn bridges?
yeah, I guess
Okay.
that's what they meant.
Okay.
I wasn't 100% sure.
Okay.
And it was quite early on. But,
Okay.
my response to that is, who can you control? You can only control yourself. So if people burn bridges, that's up to them. That's just my take. I don't know what you guys think.
Right. Well, it's another one of those things where we can't be, opening mouth and inserting foot. We need to be thinking clearly about what we're going to say. I know there are media venues like Twitter where people are just shouting all over the place. And I don't know, it may work. I don't think it works, but just whenever people are yelling and screaming and not behaving themselves, and then there's one logical voice in the midst of all of that, guess what? That stands out. That people look at that and appreciate it. So let that be us. Let's let that be us. That's my comment on that.
If they're talking about other groups, then I think that's something where forgiveness may have to come in. I know none of us want to forgive the ones that have harmed us, but is it more important for us to be mad at everybody and tell everybody we're mad, or is it more important for our community to make headway? And I know I have to do it, and I know others have to do it, where we work with people. We don't block everybody. We work with people we don't really want to sometimes, but
Yeah,
that's part of it. There are people who are angry with me, people I'm angry with. It doesn't mean we won't still do it again tomorrow, the same, working together if there's an opportunity. And
that's
that's
right.
what should come
Okay.
first. And it's hard. It is.
Okay, the next question that came in was in regards to the UN Convention Against Torture. They asked, what about the UN Convention Against Torture? Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to answer that because it doesn't seem like they finished their thought process. Let me
I
move
kind
on
of
to
get
the,
what they're saying.
oh, you do? Okay.
Tamara, do you have something you want to talk
I
about with the
don't.
UN? Or
I don't. Go ahead.
okay. Well, y'all might have heard that the United States has our president pulled us out of the UN last year, and the reasons were the UN is being investigated for their relationship with China and for some other relationship issues that they're having against people who we consider our allies. So that is, at this time, I'm not the expert on this by any means, but at this time, because the United States is pulled out of the UN and they are investigating the UN, UN is not really accessible to us like it was before. I don't know if it's accessible to us at all. I don't know if it might be accessible. I don't know those things. I just know that at this time, because of COVID and because of its links to China and because of the UN and their sympathetic lean towards China, there are reservations there and that is why it's being investigated. That's really all I know at this moment. So I don't know if it's going to be effective or not to try the UN. Okay. What do we
Okay.
have next?
The next question is, in your opinion, what is the main fracture between pain groups?
Do you want me to tackle that one?
Go right ahead, Julia.
Okay. I think the main fracture between groups, again, is not agreeing on the big picture. People are very passionate about the things that they're passionate about. And sometimes when we're passionate about something, we feel like everybody should be. I mean, it's logical. We feel strongly about it. Why doesn't everybody feel strongly about it? And we, again, are forgetting that we have got to tackle this from many, many different aspects. This overcoming the opioids crisis and the hype and the wrong narrative. We got to attack it from many ways and many directions. So good, be passionate about what you feel is your avenue in this, helping with the chronic pain community, but don't, but let someone else's passion be theirs. Let's just see if we can't come to an agreement on the big picture, and that will overcome a lot right there. We talk about egos and things like that, and a lot of that also is, again, passion that's misdirected, in my opinion. People being passionate and then others disagreeing with their passion. But we just got to let that go, okay? If that's not your thing, it's okay. Find your thing. Jump into it and go forward with it. Okay.
Tamara, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think speaking of specific fractures, I think the UA, whether or not we have urinalysis required or not, that's one huge fracture. You've got some that say, I would rather have no pain care at all than be required to have a UA. And you've got others who say, I would do them every day and twice on Sunday if it means I could have adequate pain treatment. So that doesn't make either one right or either one wrong. It means we want the end goal to be, if you are able to find a doctor that doesn't require UA, great. If you are willing to have a UA, did you find a doctor? That's all that matters, is at the end goal is everybody getting treated. That has to be the primary. And I think it isn't even just that. It's conspiracy theories, whether they're right or wrong. Some of these conspiracy theories may come out to be true, but they are hard to believe, especially for the outsider, especially for them. So it's hard when those are the fractures.
Amen.
Okay. All right. The next viewer question was, how can we keep doctors in pain management? What can we do to support our doctors?
Okay, I can address that.
Okay.
There is two things in particular. One is let your pain management doctor that is treating you know you appreciate them, and know that you are grateful for them, and know that you understand that not everybody's doing this, and thank you that you are. And just showing some gratitude for their treatment. Now, they might not be doing what you want. They might not be giving you the medicine you want. But we know right now that pain doctors are kind of far and wide. We can't afford to, we're talking about burning bridges. We really can't afford to burn a bridge with a pain doctor. I find for myself, just having been part of that establishment, that when the patient and I found something that we had in common, whether it was we had kids or whether, I used to do bodybuilding, whether it's, sports or whatever, finding some common thing is really huge in getting your physician to kind of come around to your side, because he sees you as more of a person instead of a patient. You see him as a person as opposed to just a doctor. And not everybody can do that, especially when your doctor gives you 2 seconds, but you can say thank you. And you can say, I appreciate that you're taking care of me. That's one. Another one is something that I'm looking into doing, and that is going and speaking with the medical schools, with the medical students, and letting them know what's going on, kind of helping re-educate them a little bit. 'Cause right now I know they're getting wrong information. I hate that, but they just are. They're getting wrong information. They rely on the CDC and their guidelines way too much. There's a lot of fear-mongering that's going on. And really, it would be so good if, as patients, we could go to them and say, you are important. We need you. You want job security? You go and be a pain doctor because we need you. And that's another avenue that that I'm looking into personally. And if anybody else, especially those of you who've been in the medical field who kind of can get an in because you were in the medical field, or even if you aren't and you feel like that's something you could do, you could communicate with them on their level. That's kind of important. You know, come contact me and let's start formulating some ideas. Okay, what else we got?
Okay, the next question was, can we come up with another term for chronic pain?
I like this one. Can I take that?
Yes, please, Tamara,
Yeah.
do.
I know we've got 3 or 4 questions left in just a few minutes. So I have also said that, and I think we've all kicked around high impact patient. Personally, I use high impact pain patient or high impact patient with pain. The thing is, so many of us have come to identify our whole world because of pain. In reality, we are people first, patients first. Maybe
Right.
there's a way we can rephrase it.
I
I
love
have
that.
an autoimmune disorder that is extremely painful. I know that doesn't come up with a new name, but so many people hear pain patient and it's a negative connotation. Maybe just rephrasing it, and that would reframe our minds and our way of thinking, help a little bit, and then there too. So,
There you go.
Okay,
Good.
good.
I am a patient with this diagnosis, and it
Exactly.
causes me daily pain.
yes. See?
Just
Okay.
explaining
All
it differently.
Another good question was, do we have any idea if the upcoming CDC revision will address the harms to chronic pain? I was told the revision will impact only acute pain. Tamara, do you know about that, or Julia?
I have an email from a administrator of the CDC opioid response team. I've been trying to connect to him. I've got one lady that kind of talks to us back and forth. No real big bombshell, anything I get. I don't really get anything before everybody else, but it is nice to have context. She says they are 100% aware of the harm. They are 100% aware of the suicides, and that is why they are reviewing. So my question back to her then is, then why did it take so long? Why did it take so many years? Every time her response is, well, and we keep telling everybody it's not a hard and fast rule. It never should have become a law. It was always a guideline. It never should have been a state law. So yes, they did tell us everything. That is what the CDC believes has given them their free ticket, because they did enough, because they said it wasn't a law, it wasn't a rule, that doctors were supposed to treat us individually. We all know differently, but that is where their mind is at, that yes, it is supposed to address the harms, the suicide due to pain, pretty much all the stuff that we agreed with in the National Pain Report, National Pain Management Task Force report, where they called out the CDC guidelines for 16 things, but 9 were very specific. Those are supposed to be clearly addressed. And the AMA is on our side this time, and they are actively at every single part of this conversation. So that helps too.
Okay.
Excellent. And can I throw something on top of that real quick?
Oh, yes, definitely. Go ahead.
Just as a word of encouragement, if y'all think about it, what were we told in 2017? A lot. Our medicines are going to be taken away within a year. 2018, people were shouting, our medicines are going to be taken away in a year. In a year, we won't have them. Let's not give those kind of predictions, okay? Because that just makes people fearful, that makes people hopeless, and that makes them give up. And obviously, it didn't come to pass. So let's be careful, and as leaders, and even as those who are communicating with others, other people who have pain issues, let's make sure that our words are encouraging. Let's not make doomsday predictions. That doesn't do any good. I think people would say that thinking that would motivate people to movement, to action. but I think it just did the opposite. I think made people give up.
I agree.
And so let's be careful with what we say and make sure that let's not predict, okay? Let's work on the facts. Let's work on what's happening right now.
Okay.
Because we can't change the future.
Okay.
Today.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to rush you, but we've got a couple of really good questions I want to get to.
Let's do it.
Somebody else asked, my question is, do we have the right to pay out of pocket for medication if our insurance will only cover a certain amount of pills?
Absolutely you do, but
Yep.
it kind of depends on your state.
What I was getting ready to say, every state is different, so that's
really?
one we can answer here. Every state is different, and there are some who even their Medicaid rules are different than their laws. So that's something I think we really need to just kind of put on the back burner until we have a one of these that's very specific about what y'all are welcome to contact me at any time. I have all of this written down. It's all up on a website, a few different ones. You guys are Pain Warriors Unite has it up there. It's a great tool for anybody who's not been there in a while. The lady building it's incredible. So it's all up there under every single state. It's a lot.
Okay.
Good. Yes.
Next question was, why is it okay for doctors, especially Dr. Kolodny, to use, okay, that didn't make any sense. This is a way to push Suboxone, isn't it? I think that what they're asking is the current situation or the current environment or tenor, isn't it creating a situation where it's benefiting Dr. Kolodny and doctors like him, or in prop?
Oh, absolutely. It is 100% benefiting him. I don't think this was all started out as, hey, I think we're going to go make everybody get on Suboxone. I think that was more of a kind of an effect that they saw happening and decided to go ahead and push it that way further. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. This was when
No, go ahead.
You're good. You're good. But I do have a thought on that too, whenever you're done.
I really do think that this was never some big conspiracy, but every time there was a little bitty move forward, whether it was Andrew Kolodny or somebody else in prop or Shatterproof, whoever, they saw a way to either make a little more noise or maybe be a little bit more credible, so they got chosen for the opioid lawsuits. Guys, there's nowhere that we can link back that we can link back Kolodny to profiting off of Suboxone. If somebody directly has it, show me. When he was in New York City, that was not him profiting off of it or paying his own money. So if somebody can find something, that'd be great. But so far, it doesn't exist. So
Yeah.
I
And
think
this is from attorneys who know how to search.
Yep, I think it's more along the lines as him and Jane Ballantyne have been poised to be able to take over doing the lawsuits, being the experts in these opioid trials. They're going to make millions each off of every lawsuit. So I think that's where their money's coming from. Let's try to find a way to attack that. Go for it, Julia.
Okay. Something I want to say about Suboxone. Suboxone is not a dirty word. Suboxone works for some patients. About a third of patients who take Suboxone get a benefit from it. Don't pollute a medication just because a person that pushes it is polluted.
That's how we got here.
Yeah.
By people like Kolodny polluting one type of medication because they didn't like the people representing us that we did like.
Yeah. And so another thing is that there are people in CPPNewsSource and in every single Facebook page, Twitter, whatever you call them, that take Suboxone, and they are ashamed. It for anything, because the shame is coming from other pain patients. Hey, if something is working for someone, I mean, that's our whole issue, is pain medication works for us, for, some of us, not all of us, but for most of us who are in this fight. We're in this fight because pain medication works. And so why would we, shame someone else for what they're taking when we're, fighting the shame of what we're taking? So, in other words, don't shame someone else for what they're taking that works for them. And that includes everything. That includes natural remedies, and that includes kratom, that includes whatever. Let's get excited for
And
people when they get pain relief. Let's be
yes,
for
yes.
them.
No shaming
Okay.
either direction. No
Right.
shaming
Yes,
somebody who gets relief from opioids. No shaming somebody who doesn't. All the way
that's
down.
right. That's right.
And I know Alexandra's got something big she wants to say, and Julia's going to wrap up and throw it over. Is there more?
Is there,
There's one more question.
okay.
And it kind of circles back to our doctors.
Okay.
How can we help more doctors stand up to the medical boards? In Texas, the records across all procedures show all docs accept a $5,000 fine to keep their license.
Okay. I don't know. Can you address the medical board, Tamara, or I can address Texas, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure what.
I'm kind of fuzzy on what they're talking about too.
Okay. Okay.
The best thing that we can do, though, is become involved with your medical boards. Again, going and telling your story is good, but they already know we have problems. What they want is for us to say, what can we do to help you?
Yes.
What can we do to help our doctors, in your opinion? And let's get some, productive dialogue going now. They know we hurt. They know that we've been treated poorly. They, and I'm afraid the medical boards are just a little on the, well, I'll just say it's, for us, those of us who've been practitioners, it's no longer a group of our peers that we go to. It's gotten to where there's too much politics in it. There are now business people with connections that are on the medical boards that know nothing about medicine. So there's those issues that we really can't do anything about. But the main thing that we can do is be there for the meetings, every opportunity that you can, and be productive by asking, what is it that we can do to help you? What is it that you need from us so that we can all do this better? What is it that I can do to protect my doctor? He's a good man. He's a good woman. She's a good woman. Sorry. She's a good woman. He's a good man. What is it that I can do in your eyes for my doctor? These are the questions we need to start asking.
Okay. And one last question. Should we contact the HP3 and ask them to send another letter to CDC? Tamara?
Yep, they are working on it, I believe. I know that most of those HP3 doctors, I see them on Twitter daily. They are still extremely active. They are out there every day still advocating for us. I don't know if they've done it specifically under the HP3, but last time they were pretty sneaky and they put that out there without really anybody knowing. So kind of getting it together behind it without anybody knowing, then all of a sudden got it signed by all these important people. So I think it doesn't hurt to ask them. And I think we should know they're already there though too, and fighting for us individually every day.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all.
All right. Yes. Let me introduce real quick Alexandra Dubois. Sorry, I just like saying your name. She is our lead administrator, and she is helping to expand us into Twitter. So why don't you give us some information about that, Alexandra?
Thank you, Julia. Yeah, we have expanded to Twitter, and I'm not a lead administrator anywhere except Twitter. So let's not put that out there.
Oh, come on.
Sure, as long as I get a pay raise, okay?
That was a big joke, by the way.
Yeah, yes, we don't get paid. Nobody gets paid.
No.
We have expanded to Twitter, and if you're on Twitter, we encourage you to follow us at CPPNewsSource01. Again, that's CPPNewsSource01 on Twitter. We take a lot of the articles that are published on the Facebook page and put them on Twitter. And then when we find a good article on Twitter, we will capture it and then bring it to the Facebook page. We would like you to help us as far as moderating comments, because as an entity, CPP News, excuse me, is not going to engage with people who comment. We have a couple of canned responses that we give out, but if you want to take on the commenters, feel free to do so. And we have a small team, we're growing. And if you are interested in participating on the Twitter team, please contact me. You can follow me if you want to on Twitter. It's Alexandra D as in David, capital B _4 or something like that. I'll have to double check. Never mind. I don't know who I am, but it is definitely CPPNewsSource on Twitter.
Are there any spaces, or you know, I'm not the Twitter expert.
You type the @ symbol when you're searching at CPPNewsSource01 and you'll find it. It has the CPP News logo on it.
Very good. For those of you who are Twitter handicapped, as I am.
Mm-hmm.
All are welcome.
Yes.
Thank you guys.
Yes, and thank you so much for participating. We really appreciate it. Please, please, please let us know how it went, in your opinion. We are thick-skinned. We prefer input as opposed to just people saying, yeah, you did well, which we want that too. But, you know, if you have input on how we did or how the questions are answered, or if you felt like there was a little bit more that we needed to say to questions, certain questions, please feel free to comment. I believe they can comment. How are we commenting? I guess we could put up a post so that they can comment underneath it.
Or right here in the live, it'll just continue the post itself with this where people can come watch it later.
Okay.
It will just.
We just want to keep the comments underneath that.
It does have over 520 comments right now. You know, that's great. We may
yes, thank you.
For it.
Yes,
comments.
Yes, we'll figure out. We'll either make a separate post so that you can put your comments, but we'll keep scanning the comments under this live feed as well. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found this informative, educational. I hope you got some encouragement. I hope that we can kind of get on the same page and support each other and see if we can't make a lot better progress